Hey, what's the crack, YouTubers? What's the story? Welcome to another hobby hangout. We're on this week with not Clive, but Clint from Essex Boys. Um, we're on doing a bit of hobby. So, what's the crack, Clint? How are you keeping me?
Yeah, not too bad. Freezing my tits off in the garage, but apart from that, all good.
As
Yeah.
you do, as you do. I've a few bits and pieces on the table tonight. I've been busy 3D printed more terrain pieces for BattleTech and paint them up in Rust like. So I've got some fuel containers lined up. Hopefully I'll get something done with them. No works tonight, my friend. Well, maybe I might throw a bit of a prime base coat on this Gits bag and Cosmo. You know the miniature. I might throw a bit of black onto these. You know, we'll see how it goes from there. Well, nothing too crazy. What about yourself? What have you got on the table?
I have got a Greenkeeper's hut for my Blood Bowl stadium. Just primed it with a bit of black and got some metallic on it. I'm just going to paint that up. And then I've got a Skaven Blood Bowl team I'm doing up for my nephew. Did a little test model last night. I don't know if you can see that very well there. But
He's like a bluish colour with
yeah, blue and red metallic on the old armour.
nice.
Yeah. That's that.
Happy days. So yeah, we were talking beforehand. You were trying to get the son to play, so and he doesn't seem interested in playing Blood Bowl. So
No,
are you trying to get you trying to wrangle the nephew in instead? Try to get a game in any
well,
way you can.
my brother's my brother's got the whole family in. The wife's playing, the two kids are playing. I'm painting the teams, but yeah, he's done an orc team up, and the missus playing the lizard men, and my niece is playing snotlings, and yeah, my nephew's got the Skaven, but I've been roped into painting up the Skaven. I think my brother's had enough now. He's painted enough. He's done two
not
orc
happy
teams.
enough. He's managed to wrangle them all into playing the game. He got sick. You know, you think that would be like his penance for. He's got sick of painting them. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah, so I'm doing the Skaven team. He did chuck in the humans from the box for me as payment though, so that's
all right. I get you.
Yeah, from the box
something.
set. Yeah, so that's a good deal.
Sweet.
So I'll paint them up.
Looking forward to seeing games paid on your stadium. Like it's looking good. It really is. It's absolutely cracking work.
I thought that might be enough to get my son playing, but he's still resisting.
He's not.
Yeah, he's not having it. My wife's had a couple of games. My daughter's played. They've enjoyed it. It's been good laugh with that. Had some good games.
Nice.
But yeah, so I don't know. Fortnite, the pull is too strong for him.
Yeah.
For Fortnite and Minecraft, it's impossible.
Another casualty to the Fortnite train.
Yeah.
Oh man, I tried it. I really did, but it's. I'm sure it's someone's cup of tea. I'm sure it is. It's just not mine. You know, I give it a go.
Yeah. I'm used to first-person shooters. You know, where you're fighting. It's a straight fight. Gun, not building a 4-story house. By the time you've pulled out your gun, doesn't quite do it for me.
Kind of a mansion with like a greenhouse and a swimming pool built by the time you've managed to get a wood shack going. That's how it was for me. Like I'm like I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I'm quite the opposite usually. I prefer like building games. Seems to be what I go through phases. Like I've been playing building games lately, so I've been mucking around on like Space Engineers, and my mates have me playing a game called Echo, which is kind of like Minecraft, but a bit more in depth and complicated and all this type of stuff. But it's like, I like doing like building games, but they are time sinks. It's like, well, I'm not getting any hobby done. I'm enjoying myself, but at least with the hobby, you have something to show at the end of it, and it's still it's still there. Whereas once the server's wiped, it's sort of game over, man. Game over, man.
Yeah, so I keep trying to explain to my son, you get your pocket money, you don't want to spend it on digital stuff, spend it on physical stuff. At least you've got it in your hand.
Yeah, you've got a little something then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. He has got a Chaos Army he's been building up, Black Legion. He's building that. He loves the modelling side of it and the painting and all that bit. He gets right into that, conversions. He's been doing that. He's been converting up an old Wraith Knight into a Chaos.
That's the best
thing.
bit.
Loving that.
It's the best bit.
Yeah, he does. He loves it. All of that. But yeah, trying to get him to play a game. Oof, got time down, bribe him, money.
I get you.
Kill Team, he was all right. He played a few games of Kill Team. He enjoyed that.
He just doesn't get into the actual playing of it, is it? Is it?
It's the big games. They do take a long while.
Yeah, no, I can understand me. They can do.
For a 10-year-old kid to sit there for 2.5 hours playing, especially if you don't.
It depends on the kid, mate. You know what I mean? Like I think I got into the hobby when I was 9, and then but then I was a really odd child in that I was quiet. My mother thought it was great. I'd be given like they kept buying me Lego, and I'd be literally you could leave me for days in the corner with me Lego bucket, and I'd keep myself entertained. Nice. But I suppose it's different kids. My nephew's not like that at all. I can't get me nephew to sit down for long enough now. He's 7 now. He would have been probably 6 at the time, trying to get him to paint the Space Marine, and he wants to put all the paints on at the same time and mix them together and throw it all on. And he did that for like 5 minutes, and then he's like, "Come on, we can play this game. We can play." You know what I mean? He's boing boing bouncing around. He's like a bouncing ball, man. It's just different kids will have different patience, like all of us, really.
I think a little bit of it was the COVID as well, because obviously when he's online playing he's with his mates, so he's getting his social time. So it's hard to drag away. And I feel a bit guilty if I pull him away from it too much, because that's the only social he's getting, not being at school and all that sort of stuff. It's important for him to get a bit of time with his mates and stuff, and that's sort of the only time they get when they're online together. So
yeah, that is I think that
kind of let him slide a little bit recently, letting him play a bit more than we would normally. But yeah.
It's the times, mate. It's the times. Strange times.
At the moment, hopefully not for much longer, though.
This is it. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Dave was asking in the chat, how do I deal my rust? Dave, you talking about these ones? I do a prime in black, and then I get the AK Interactive Surface Primer Rust, and I stipple it on, and I do about 2 or 3 layers and try and get like a mottled look. And then after that, when I do bother to get the finger out, Dave, I put a bit of metal on the edges, and it looks alright. Maybe put a wash over it sometimes. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But that's what I'm doing with these buildings. So I've got like the air conditioning units on the top here, and I'll probably do that up like that. I don't know what color to do these fuel tanks. I'm thinking maybe like I can stipple white on them. Do you ever see like most of them tend to be like a white or a grey?
Well, concrete grey, yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking the legs will be like concrete on the bottom part, because they're usually sunk into concrete supports kind of, and then maybe metal legs or whatever, so I might leave them rusty. But for some reason my brain is like, they should be white with like rust streaks, you know what I mean? There should be patches of paint left on it, and just like
careful, you go too white, it might look like a golf ball if you're not careful.
Well, yeah, this is it. People keep telling me they're looking like drop ships and whatever. I'm like, but it's got a pipe sticking out the back, but it's I am enjoying this 3D printing. As I was saying to you beforehand, it's sort of like outsourcing your hobby at the same time. It's fun. It's like, oh right, I printed one, I'll paint that. Like normally if we weren't doing the hobby hangout and I was painting, what I'd do is I'd set it up to print one of these. It takes about an hour and 10 or 15 minutes to print one of these. These ones take longer because they've more legs. But I'd set it up printing, and then I can paint what I've already got made. Well, that's the plan. It doesn't seem to be working too well, but I can play video games and print, or I can paint and I can print at the same time. But it's fun designing your own stuff. It really is. It's good crack.
Yeah, I've not got into the printing yet. I've been tempted. But it's one of those things. It's another hobby, isn't it?
It is. It's another thing. Like messing around with the machine itself is mucking around. But I like that you can make your own designs, and then do what you want. Like with these guys, it's you can see where I've changed the development. So it's like the first one, the legs were a bit chunkier and there was only 6, and I was like, yeah, that's grand. And then I was like, oh, what if I do like thinner legs? Maybe that'll look a bit better. And I was like, ooh, I could add more legs. So you can you've got a natural progression. A bit of it's a bit interesting, all right. And then there's the likes of Gear Gut stuff. You've gotten some Gear Gut stuff as well. Like there's a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah, got
decent
goblins and
files.
stuff. Yeah,
So
yeah,
you don't have to design stuff yourself. There's a lot of files out there. So it's interesting hobby wise as well. I think
yeah,
it's become a bit more accepted throughout the communities. I'm seeing a lot of guys printing a lot of stuff, all sorts of
yeah.
bits and pieces. You know, where it'll be stuff to design
Bit more
themselves.
accessible as well now. It's a lot cheaper than it was, isn't it? I
Yeah,
think
well,
so.
yeah, I think so, mate. I think so. There's a lot more.
Yeah,
It's a lot more accessible, and even it seems to be. I think we're at at the point now where it's like if someone doesn't have a printer themselves, they have a mate who probably does, or they know
yeah,
somebody who knows somebody in the hobby who does. You know, so you can ask around, and I'm sure you'll find someone in your local area or someone's mate has a printer. You know.
yeah. I know one of my mates got a little FDM. He got 2 years ago now, I think, or a year and a half ago, maybe. He was doing a lot of D&D stuff. We just got into playing Dungeons and Dragons, and yeah, I only got into it just before COVID, pretty much the year before. We did a little campaign, and I went mad with the terrain. That was yeah, I got bitten by the bug hard.
I love campaigns, mate. Love campaigns.
Oh, yeah, it was such a good laugh.
Everyone wants to play in them, but nobody wants to run them, is what I find when it comes to
I'm lucky,
campaigns.
yeah. I've got a mate who does it really well. He DMs Danny. He's Spanish guy, and he's a really good DM. He's been playing for years. He done two campaigns, one homebrew one and one he did from the book, but sort of changed it up a little bit. But it was really good.
Nice.
Good for all us newbies as well joining in.
But it's always good, Craig. It's nice when you get some like consistent gaming going. You know, when the world isn't in the state it's in.
Yeah, yeah. He used to send me over the maps. He'd be like, "We're playing on this map next week." I'd be like, "Ah, cool." And I'd go to B&Q, buy a load of insulation foam, do out the grid. I made a whole castle. It was 4 foot by 3.5 foot. I did the whole footprint, did a moat round it, flocked it all just for one campaign. I just went a bit mad with it.
But that sounds great though. That's what you want, man.
Yeah,
that sounds amazing. You'd love that, you know.
He'd send me it all, I'd measure it all out, and then do up all the plans from the book. He'd send me over a couple of screenshots, and I'd try and make up all the floor plans. And then half the time, we wouldn't even end up in that building. I'd spend 5 hours making a massive building, and then I loved it. Yeah, doing up all the terrain bits and that.
I found that with D&D, it's like the best laid plans. You know what I mean? Like I've played games, and the guy running it at the time was telling me like there was villages he made, and you know he was expecting us to go in this direction. You could try and point your players in a direction, and they'll still be like, "No, we'll go in totally the opposite way." You know,
Or kill the whole party on the first encounter. That's it.
a good TPK to put them in their place. My days. Yeah. No, I haven't played D&D in a long time, but I did back in my younger years. Not that I'm that super old, but like when I was 17, I played in a campaign for like 2 years. That was great crack, man.
Yeah, no, he's a good laugh. Do enjoy it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some games of Blood Bowl in there. That
yeah, a nice tournament would be fun. You know what I mean? Like a weekend. I reckon like a weekend of playing with a handful of mates would be good crack. Get a league going for like a weekend. I could see it. I could definitely see it being a weekend thing, even a 1 day thing, I suppose. Like on average, how long are games of Blood Bowl lasting for? You know.
Well, with me, because I'm super slow and not very experienced with it, about 2.5 hours. Maybe that's why the kids don't want to play.
Dad's too slow.
That's the truth, because I'm a terrible player. But I think you can get them down to about like an hour and a half. But I've seen a lot of stuff about Blood Bowl 7s. You've been watching, and you just play with seven on the team instead of 11.
Oh, okay. No, I've not heard of that format.
Yeah, a bit of a smaller pitch, just slightly smaller. Still the same amount of squares to the end zone. So still whatever it is, 13 or 14 squares, whatever it is from but you don't have a line of scrimmage in the middle. You have two lines, and there's like a no man's land in the middle, so you don't get all that first term blocking. And so yeah, it looks quite good fun actually.
Blocking and bashing, the best part. They're taking the best part out.
Well, it is, yeah. Unless you play snotlings like me. So.
Well, this is it. I only have an orc team.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Yeah, I don't like the other play style where it's like jumping over people and stuff. I like to bash things.
Smash it. You
smash them. Even if I'm not playing orcs, I'd play like maybe Lizardmen are a good bashy team as well, aren't they, with their swords?
Yeah.
I'd give them a bash as well. I've played a bit. I've not played a lot of Blood Bowl, but it seems like a good laugh.
Oh, I sound like some expert. I've been playing since the new box came out, since Christmas. That's it. I'm no expert.
I was contemplating getting a new box, but I only bought the previous box set literally like 4 or 5 months beforehand. I was late to the party myself, so I was like, I mean, it's a nice box, but
a brilliant box, honestly.
I'm running out of space. I have nowhere to put it. I've only got so much space. Says the man who's now printing Terrain and thinking to himself, where am I going to put all of this? But I think I have a plan anyway. I might commandeer some of my mate's space. I'll be like, how we play games in your place? I'll be like, I could leave the Terrain here and you could use it yourself too. Hey,
Perfect.
I'll see if I can pull one of them off. I think he'd be more than happy to.
Even that, you don't really need a bed, do you? Not really.
Sleep on a mattress? Nah. We'll just, put miniatures in boxes, throw a sheet over it. There you go. Job sorted.
Yeah. Sure, the missus would be fine with that.
I was literally, that was the first thing that came to mind, and be like, yep, I'm sure the missus will be chuffed. What's this? Don't worry about it, love. I'll make the bed. Don't worry about it. Don't you leave that alone. It's all right.
Just lucky I ended up with a garage.
Very jealous. I was only admiring your setup that you have there. You've got like your paints organised and you've your bits and pieces all sorted there, and you said you'd have the garage to yourself, and I'm like, that's the dream, man. You're living the dream.
I mean, it's a statue. I got like half the house above me in the rafters, so I've put a few boards up, and there is so much stuff up there. I had to get it off the floor, so I had enough space down here to do my bits. All the camping gear and everything's all up there.
All the stuff that's normally in the garage, you've managed to squirrel away.
Yeah. The car. Don't need a car in the garage. Leave that on the street.
Sure, garages are, that'd be a waste of, space. Like, you know what I mean?
Massive waste.
Exactly. You've a whole. I think that's what happens in Ireland a lot. I don't know what the perception is in the UK, but a lot of people who've like bought houses that would have a garage attached to them, they tend to convert them into rooms.
Yeah.
That tends to be the way. You know what I mean?
Better sleep in it than or use it for something than let your car stay in it all night, unless you got some sort of Ferrari. But then you're not worried about an extra room, are you? Really? Nice motor.
Worst comes to worst, you can just buy like an old ex-army tent to pitch over the thing. One of those big ones. Throw that over the car. There you go. That'll save the paint job, me.
That's why I drive a 20-year-old diesel Peugeot, and that's it. So it doesn't matter then.
Dad, there's a spot of rust on the bonnet, you know what I mean, on the hood. It's like, it's character, lad. Don't worry about that. We'll, bit of Scotch Brite, we'll give it a spray of matte varnish, and it'll look sorted. Adds to it, bit of character. I remember when I was a kid, our family had a car, and it was something like that. There was like a spot of rust or something on the bonnet, and they bought a sticker. It's like a paint splat sticker, something like that, and they just put that on top of it. That'll do. Out of sight, out of mind.
I just park it under a tree. It gets covered up with lots of white paint splatters. Then it's lovely.
Or sap, tree sap. Anytime I visit my mother's, it's like that. There's a tree across the road from her, and I don't know what type of tree it is, but it seems in the summertime it gives off this like sweet. It's like nectar or something like that. So you'll come out in your car, it'll have that on it, but it'll have all the wasps. The wasps will be eating it off the car as well, and you're like, all right, whatever. Give it the power. Once over with the power hose when we get home,
Yeah, we got big old what's it, sycamore, is it, in the back garden? Oh, It's not in our garden, unfortunately. It's in the neighbours behind, and it just drops all year. So you get the little seed buds with all the sap in it first, then you get all the little helicopter things, and then you get all the bloody leaves all through the way. It's like the tree that keeps on giving.
Some people make some great terrain and bits and pieces off of the likes of that stuff from trees. I do be very surprised. Grind it up, or you can get. Have you seen like the little stamps, the little leaf stamps that people get? It's like a punch. You can punch out leaves from leaves and just put it on your base.
Not bad shout.
The only thing I'd be worried about is preserving it so that it actually, you know, if you're going to put something like that, you know, how's it going to react to the likes of varnish? As I was asking you beforehand, you know, a lot of the terrain you're making is made out of cardboard. So how are you keeping it so that there's some longevity in it? Like, what's your process?
So I do.
Yeah.
A thin coat of Mod Podge with black paint, like just cheap craft paint, you know, and then mix it with a Mod Podge, and then just cover it all once it's built, and then I'll paint it all up. Just with I'll just use GW acrylics. It's a bit expensive, really, but I found the craft paints I don't get the same colour. It's not as vibrant, but I only stipple it on, so I don't use that much. So I did that whole stadium with like one pot of each of the GW paints, an Evil Sun Scarlet. And
that's not bad going. That's a big stadium, me.
Yeah, so it wasn't bad. And then just hit it up with like a matte varnish, spray varnish afterwards, and it just seems to protect it, and it seems all right after that. Not had any problems. Been out here all year. Like the Orky Town I did before. The actual board's made of cardboard as well.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
You've had no problems with warping or anything like that, or?
Did when I first made it. Yeah, I balls up a bit and stuck too much PVA on it, and it all warped. I had to press it down, but got there eventually and did it. Sort of learning on the go, trying to do it on the cheap. There's so many Amazon boxes at the moment. I've got all that cardboard. It seems a shame to keep throwing them all out.
Well, this is it, yeah. Since we're all ordering in a lot more, I think a lot of people could do a lot of terrain if they get the potential to do it, you know what I mean? But I've always found with myself that I've always had the problem of anytime I make something from cardboard, it tends to warp when I've done something like that. Maybe I've tried to glue. I know I tried to make a pond before and use water effects, and that just, if you haven't sealed it properly, it'll go arseways very quickly.
To be fair, I haven't put any of my stuff. None of it's on bases. It's kind of like freestanding. But a lot of it is like that insulation foam in the middle
as a core. Yeah.
My brother got a load of insulation out of a skip at work, like loads of it, the offcuts and all that from a building site. And I've got boxes and boxes of it shoved everywhere in the garage. I keep all the packaging materials and everything, and just wrap it up in cardboard and coat with a Mod Podge. It seems fine.
I was going through my shed there the other day, my little shed of shame, and I was throwing some bits and pieces out, but I came across something like that where it was the styrofoam packing off of my PC monitor, and I was like, I couldn't, you know, throw it out. I was like, if I don't use it, somebody else will, because it's literally, when I'm looking at it,
it looks like something, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's either like a concrete bunker, a giant concrete bunker, if you were to put it face down, or if you were to put it face up, it's literally like a base. It's like a raised base, like a defensible sort of position with a little courtyard. I was thinking, no, you could put that there and that, you could make a tower and all that. I'm like, you could do these, I just don't have the space for them. You know, I'm like, well, you know, I could do, but
that is starting to become, even with a garage with a space area, I'm starting to struggle for space. The missus keeps coming in and she's like, more stuff, start selling it. sell something and build something else.
Well, like, yeah, that's it.
I make it and I want to keep it. I don't. I'm such a nightmare.
Don't want to part ways with any of it. You know.
Nah, that's it. I want to play on it.
I know one of the guys likes to do terrain. One of the Dublin lads with the Dublin Gamers Guild, Alan. He's a good lad. He likes to do terrain, but what he tends to do is he does it for the club. So he sort of like builds and maintains the terrain for the club. So
Nice.
he gets the best of both worlds in that regard.
Gets to use it and make it.
Yeah, it gets to use it. It gets it gets used. Some of it does get a bit bashed, I suppose, because you have to take into account that it's being used at a gaming club, so not everyone's got to be as careful with it. Stuff does tend to get bashed a bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I've never joined a gaming club. I've always just had a group of mates. We've just always sort of played. Started with my brother. He got me into it about, I don't know, 15 years ago now, something like that. No, about 12 or 13 years ago. The Assault on Black Reach set.
Good
he
man.
fell in love with that. Got it for his birthday. Split it with me. Gave me the orcs. And that was where my love affair started.
You did the love affair with the Green Tide started off.
Yeah.
That's how I started my Orc Army. So I was playing 40k beforehand, but I used to play Space Wolves, and I played a game with a mate. I think when the new Orc new at that time when the 2008 Orc Codex came out, because I think it came out pretty late in 2008. It's near the end of 4th edition, and I played a game when we must have played 4th ed. Yeah, it was 4th edition. We played a game of 4th edition. With me Space Wolves, and he tabled me. He just there was nothing left, but it was great. It was, do you know what I mean? I had even to this day, it's probably one of the top 5 games I've ever played. One of the best games, because it was just good fun, man. It was just I could stand back and shoot, but they're Space Wolves. They should be getting stuck into the orcs. So I'd charge into the orcs and I'd cut a lot of them down, but there'd be too many. So my deals just got swamped, but it was great. It was glorious. So I was like, orcs look like fun,
That's it. Your opponent always has fun. You enjoy playing them, and your opponent always enjoys playing against them normally, because they're, you kill as many as get killed. They're always killing stuff, so they think they're having fun.
Oh yeah, but it was just the whole spectacle of it. It was like they played the way I like to play the orcs. And his army was all converted and bashed and stuff. So all of his bikers were they'd be like Space Marine bikes where he's extended the bars, so they're a bit like choppers. You know what I mean? And then he'd have them all converted up, and I was like, yeah, I like orcs. That was it. So I decided at that point, I think we'd been told that the Assault on Black Reach was coming out. I think at that stage we'd been told about it, and I decided there and then, I was like, right, when that comes out, I'm buying 2 boxes. I'll swap the Space Marines. I'll have 4 boxes worth of orcs. That'll be the start of my army. And that's what happened. I haven't looked back since. What is it, 2021 now? So it was a while ago, 13 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's when I got started with them. Yeah, we're doing Orcs versus Ultramarines. Great games. Very close always, yeah. And then it became an arms race between me and him. And then, he ended up getting Blood Angels and then Space Wolves in the end. And then them Long Fangs, jeez. God,
splitting their fire.
Yeah, 3 units of Long Fangs, all stuck up in buildings.
3 units of Long Fangs.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah.
I can smell the fromage from here, mate. Oh my God.
I know, it was all fair. Yeah, but,
I hope you had 3 units of looters to reply to him, did you?
No, I only ever had, I think, I ended up with two units of 15. I think that was the most I ever got. Never more than that. And I don't think I ever even fielded 2 whole units of 15 apart from in a couple of Apocalypse games we played, massive games.
So literally about to say, the only time I've used more than 2 units of looters in a game is probably like an Apocalypse game.
Yeah.
Just for the fire support.
Yeah, my brother used to be a photographer. He had a little studio. I was quite lucky in our local town. He had a little studio. And but it was quite big. I say little, it was fair size, big floor space. And we had we built an 8x8 table, huge, all 3D terrain, all on MDF. The 3 brothers together, and we had some massive Apocalypse games in there. That was great fun.
Well, if you have any pictures, dig them up and throw them on the Discord, man. I'm sure people would love to see them.
Yeah, old games. Jakari, my other brother.
He runs through Kerry, does he?
Well, he did, and then he threw his toys out the pram when they.
Oh, when they rebooted them.
Yeah, He's sold everything, the whole lot. He's playing Necrons now.
Ah. Oh, I thought you were going to say he gave up the game altogether. I'm like,
No,
oof.
no.
You win Necrons, did he?
Yeah.
They got a reboot as well, though.
Yeah, big reboot. He's got them recently since they've had the reboot. He's got them all. A couple of Indomitus boxes and a few other bits. Haven't had a chance to play them yet because of COVID and stuff.
Ah, I see.
Yes.
You haven't had a chance to smash into teenagers yet, but you know, all in good time. Get the boot in.
That's it.
Get the boot in.
It'll come. It'll come.
Well, this is it. Have you got any? Have you tried any Necron Terrain from? Since you seem to, I take it you're the brother who's mad into the terrain, or do you all sort of dabble?
He's mad into it as well. All three of us are actually. But he's built this. My God, I think it stands about 3.5 foot tall Necron temple thing with LEDs and smoke machine and a disco inside it, and unbelievable bloody thing. It's absolutely massive perspex things on it, and it's immense. I haven't seen it in person yet, just photographs of it so far, but looks mad.
Sounds like a kill team board all to itself.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And he's got it in the set as if it's come up out of the ground. He's made like a swamp board, so as if the tomb's risen out of the swamp, the marsh. He's got all the greenery and everything all hanging off it and all dripping. Yeah, it looks really good. He's done a great job with it.
Yeah,
great job.
That sounds cool, man. Yeah, you should. When things settle down, see if you can make a video, show it up on your channel. I think people. Yeah. I'd like to see that. I'm sure your brother would be chuffed to show it off. But yeah, get him to set up the board. That'd be cool, man. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, and hopefully get a few battles on there as well.
Yeah,
be nice.
Yeah. Get battles going. That'd be cool. See the stadium in use. Definitely, man.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that. It'd be great.
Yeah, can't wait to. Yeah, I got one of my mates. He's the Ultramarine plays on my channel a few times. He's had a couple of games with me. He's just bought a dwarf team for the old Blood Bowl. So
nice.
Hooked him in as well.
So you've got a few now. You could get a league going soon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely want to get a league going. Little league, that'll be fun.
That would indeed be fun. So how did you end up with the name Essex Boyz for your YouTube channel? And for anyone who isn't aware, I don't know why you wouldn't be aware, but Clint does indeed have a channel called Essex Boyz. You'll find a link in the description below, and you'll also find on the channel, on my channel, it'll be in the recommended channels page. It'll be top of the list there if you're looking later. So how did you end up with the name? Like, is it just that's the area you're from, or?
Yeah, just from Essex. Like Talk Boys, and I just started the channel years ago. Just didn't even think about it really. There was nothing in it. Just from Essex, like all boys. That's it. Lovely Essex Boys. Obviously the play on words with the movie and we're all renowned Essex Boys. That's it. Better than Essex Girls, maybe. I can say that. My missus is from Kent, so I'm right. Not divorced yet, so.
Good stuff. But yeah, so you started the channel just as a bit of crack back in the day. Have you've been at it a while at this stage, have you?
I have now. I started about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe a bit longer than that. Just throwing up pictures of models I've painted. Bits going to YouTube, trying to beat my brother at bloody Warhammer, looking for tips and tricks. When he got them space balls, I'm like, God, I'm getting crushed every week. I need some help. Obviously, I didn't belong to a gaming club or anything, so I turned to YouTube. Yeah. Obviously, there's loads of people there, and then obviously painting was sort of secondary. Really, it was trying to find some ways around the bloody long fangs, trying to get some tips. So the 40k orcs, is it? Mark Keller. He did that big series on talking about orcs, where he broke down all the units and the codexes and stuff.
Yeah. He does it every codex, I think, and he'll chat about whether things have changed or not. But
yeah, that was good gaming wise. And then I got caught in it was more of a game then, just trying, sibling rivalry and all that, trying to crush my brother. Not very successfully most of the time. Then I got more and more into the hobby after seeing a few others on there. at Templar's Crusade. Found his channel. Thought it was amazing.
Yeah,
I loved it. His stuff was just.
back in the
That's
day,
what
yeah, he did like big pieces for like the narrative games that they'd play, like the
That's
Assault on Terra and stuff. Yeah, yeah, I remember like doing
just his weathering style. That's where I still paint my orcs the same way now as he did. Yeah, I learned it off him, off his channel. You know, with the sponge and doing all the chipping and the damage. I just used to love the way they looked. I thought it was brilliant.
yeah,
Throwing it up on YouTube with my potato cam. no lighting, couldn't see a thing. But yeah, thinking I was as good as him, no chance. But yeah, and I found Nick Edic Beer's channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, got into a couple, and then that was it. The terrain competitions he used to do each year.
Yeah.
I really, yeah,
It's like terrain square or terrain.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, the specific like shapes that he do, or like it's a corner piece and stuff. Yeah, no, I never entered them myself, but I always liked seeing what people built and the results of it. So it's always some interesting stuff. Always interesting stuff. Yeah, Nick's been at it a while as well. Been chipping away at it. Fair play to him. And then we've had a proliferation of Orky channels. It's brilliant.
Well, yeah, lockdown, obviously, it needed something to do. I've been furloughed for pretty much a bloody year now, so needed an outlet, something to do. The hobby sort of, been my saving grace during lockdown, really.
Helping you keep sanity.
Yeah, for sure. Really.
I think a lot of people are in that same boat, me. I think there's quite a lot of people.
I'm a chef. I'm used to working sort of 12, 14-hour days.
Yeah.
5, 6 days a week during the summer. Just always grafted and worked. And then just suddenly it'd be just sat on your ass and nothing to do. So, yeah, it was a big shock to the system. So I needed
Literally, was going to say shock. It must be a shock to the system. Going from that sort of go lifestyle to just everything stopping.
And did all the gardening, did everything at the beginning, planted plants up, and then that was it. After a month of that, and that's all done. Right now, I'm in a rented place at the moment, so I can't really do many home improvements. Not, otherwise I would have probably repainted the house about 4 times. And
so landlord will come back in, and the walls will be a half-inch thicker all around. What happened? I changed my mind, a few times. Had a bit of fun with it. Changed my mind. Yeah, definitely. I think you could definitely see it with a lot of people. They were going through in the, especially over here, they were going through. Like initially, all the DIY stores were locked, but then they opened them up a bit, so people could get in and get paint. And yeah, I think there's been a lot of that, especially when it first started. The amount of skips that I saw on this road, there was like 5 or 6 skips on the road at the very start, and they all just I think a lot of people have done like massive clean outs, rebuilds, repainting, getting back in touch with hobbies that maybe they used to do as a kid. I'd say there's a lot of people who are doing that now, getting back into Warhammer.
Yeah, Warhammer's exploded, isn't it? So it feels like it everywhere. Yeah,
it really has.
It's been great for that.
It has exploded, which is good. More players, more games, more fun.
Yeah, I've always hobbied. Like, even when I was working, lads, I used to find it a lovely, like, stressful job. Running around like a loony, coming home late at night. All the family's always in bed, asleep by the time I get in. It used to be nice. Kick back, put the TV on, or YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, you need the few hours of wind down. I remember when I used to work in hotels as a barman, it was the same. You'd be doing long shifts, and then you get home like 4 or 5 in the morning or whatever, and you still need to, because you've been buzzing all day, you'd have to get an hour or 2. Like, I remember my girlfriend at the time didn't understand that. Why don't you come to bed? I'm like, literally, love, I can't. It's like I'd be lying there like just staring at the ceiling. So it's like,
rest legs and
trying to explain, I need to switch off. I need something. So that's what I used to do. I used to come online and hobby with mates from the States, because they were all awake at that time,
True, yeah.
But it can be a bit crazy, all right. So we'll stipple some rust on these ones. I don't normally stipple a lot of stuff, but I find if I'm trying to get a bit of tone variation in something, stippling seems to work a lot better than just painting straight on, because you end up with like darker and light patches, especially if you go over again, do it twice.
Yeah.
You'll get
I'll stipple almost everything on my terrain. Yeah.
I can see the attraction of it, definitely. You can get a lot of variation in it. And go from there. Do you use any of the what are they called? They're not called weathering liquids, but you know, any of the stuff where you'll put it on and then they're like releasing agents once you put a bit of moisture to them, like chipping fluids and stuff.
No, I never used the chipping fluids. I used typhus corrosion. I love that stuff. That's a great.
That's not bad. I like that as well. I found it a bit weird initially in that there's like bits of grit in it or something like that. Yeah.
Ruins the brushes really quick.
Oh yeah. Whatever you're painting typhus corrosion with, that's all that paintbrush is good for.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely mullet brushes. Yeah.
You don't want to be painting miniatures with it after that, you know. Well, I mean, you can, but you know, it's up to you.
Typhus corrosion. That Vallejo, the rust, Model Air rust. Use that a lot. That's a great paint. That is. Really like that.
I think I have some of that stashed away.
Corrosion. Then a few like the weathering powders. Some of the Forge Well ones I got them years and years ago and still going now.
I have a few of them. I have me Castellax bronze from when I bought a load of them weathering powders, but I do have weathering powders and they're in these bottles as well. I have a few of them.
Same ones. Yeah.
When we used to go up to Warhammer World to play our Apocalypse games, we'd go in there and we'd clean the place out of what we could get our hands on, because you couldn't get anywhere else really, you know.
Nah.
Yeah, definitely we'd clean it out, man. If there was an orky mug, gone, hoovered up. T-shirts, hoodies, anything with orcs on it, it was gone.
Nice.
And then any of the Forge World stuff like the weathering powders, we'd hoover that up as well. We would.
Been up there a couple of times, never for an event or anything. Twice I had tickets for a tournament there. Twice, and I had to cancel both times. Twice. I'm going to get it done when COVID's over. I definitely want to play in a tournament of some sort. Never done it. I'll be terrible, but I don't care. I just fancy giving it a crack.
I've not played in any events or tournaments myself up there. The only time I've played up there has been Apocalypse games that we've organised ourselves, or I've helped organise them.
Yeah.
Where we'll book the tables and we go up and there'll be like 12 or 14 orc players just playing orcs with like 16,000, 20,000 points aside, just smashing into each other, and it's glorious. It's great fun. They're the best games ever, orcs versus orcs. Yeah. But there's been events going on when I've been up there, and anytime I've chatted because we always end up chatting to the orc players, because you know, when you're having lunch or something like that, or time in between games or before setup, you'll go around and look at the tables, and you want to see other armies, and obviously we get drawn to the orc armies, so you end up talking to people. So most of the people who go to these events, they're, you know what I mean, anytime I've interacted with them, they've been really cool, so I don't see why you wouldn't. They look, anytime I've asked someone about events that they've gone to, they've enjoyed themselves, and they look good. So
there's one, I think it's where I don't know what it's called, where there's two of you on a team.
Doubles,
is it? Yeah, doubles, yeah. I fancied doing that with my brother or something. That'd be a good laugh.
Definitely.
Team up.
Be a good weekend. They normally run them for more than a day, don't they?
Yeah.
This is it. So you go, rent a room, get an Airbnb, get your games in.
Down the pub after.
Exactly. Yeah. That's part and parcel of it. Down to the pub after. Sword.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Then struggle all your next game the next day because
definitely, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to get once we're out of COVID, I want to get a little league going. We just started before the second lockdown here, just doing a little crusade campaign. my mate with his Ultramarines and me doing orcs, and all the guys in our little group set up little crusade armies. Just wanted to get a little thing going with that.
I haven't tried it yet. How did you find like the crusade rules? Have you given them more once over? Or?
Yeah, it was good. Good fun. A little bit of bookkeeping afterwards, but it wasn't too bad. You got to get yourself a diary.
Yeah.
Little diary to keep it all in. I think I've got one off Amazon. Didn't buy the official one because they're bloody ridiculous money just for a diary, but all the pages printed out in it. Do up your cards, do your little force. Yeah, it's pretty good. As long as if you're playing narrative, it's fine. As long as your mates are doing the same and they play narrative, because you can game the system. And yeah.
So there's a gentleman's agreement needed beforehand, is there?
Yeah. Don't be a douche, basically. Yeah.
Listen, we're all here to have a bit of fun. Don't be a tryhard. All right.
Yeah. We did Highlander rules. We said we'll do that for our crusades. You can only take one unit of each.
I think that'd be good. I think that would be interesting, because then you would see units that you probably normally wouldn't on the table.
Forces you to play other stuff, rather than the same old.
I'd give that a bash. I'd like to give that a bash. For anyone who doesn't know, Highlander means there can only be one. So you can only have one of each unit, isn't it? You can only have one of each unit in your army. Apart from troops, I think. Is it troops? Is the only exception. So like if you were building an orc army, you're only allowed one unit of Mega Knobs, one unit of Ludas, one unit of Flash Kits. You can't have multiples.
No.
But yeah, that sort of format does sound very interesting, in that you would start to see units in other armies that you'd never see on the table because they're not currently good in the meta or
exactly.
or such. You know what I mean? That does sound like fun.
Yeah, a mate who plays Ultramarines, he's got pretty much everything in the codex. At least one. No, maybe not everything, but a lot of stuff. So that's nice. He's been playing some different units, not just all the triad stuff. But he's still crushing.
But that's the fun thing, though. It's not only with your army would you get to play units that you normally don't get to, but then your mates who you're playing against, you'll see units that you normally like. Oh, what the hell is this? What's this do? You know what I mean? Maybe he's played it once against you, but
didn't like it and didn't play again.
Yeah. So you won't just have the normal list. It's like, I'm playing Dave this week. He's playing Space Marines. I know what that's going to be already.
Yeah.
There's a bit of that happens, but I like that format. That sounds fun. Hope the other war bosses are taking notes. Mind you, I'm not changing my army. It's not happening. Well, mind you, hold on. I'm trying to think. So troops would be all right. So me boys would be fine. The grots I have would be fine. I've only got one unit to do this. I'd have to get rid of me 2 units of me 3 units of commandos.
We'll just make it a bigger unit. Or they max units anyway?
Oh no, I had them split into small units of 5 for like grabbing objectives. So hold on, I could deal with Highlander this, no problem. I just merged the 15 commandos into one and boom, I'm sorted. So yeah, lads. We should get the anyone watching. You should start, asking the war bosses about doing a Highlanders list. Let's see how long that'll last. Huh?
I do think it's a good way to play, though. It does make it a bit less gamey.
Dim's already given out. You're saying you couldn't do Highlander. There's too few grot-based units. Just convert them, Dim. Just convert them. That's all. Have an orc war boss, but have it so that like there's a grot controlling it or something like that. Mechanical war boss.
Grot looters. That's it.
Exactly. You could just get a unit of Imperial Guardsmen and proxy them as grots. You know what I mean? What would them be the same? Pretty much. Grot Guard do look cool. Have you seen some Grot Guard conversions? They do look pretty ace.
Yeah.
I'm killing these bushes.
Conversion, isn't it?
Yeah. Like I said, it was one of the things that drew me to orcs. I was like, this is mad. I love it. And yeah, I don't do a lot of converting myself in my army. A lot of the stuff in my army is like bog standard stuff. I'll do conversions. I just never sort of. I don't know what it is. Like I'll do conversions. I think me WoW banning up. So this is like a bad moon one. I was talking to Steve about making icons for WoW banner knob. So I made this one out of plastic card, and it looks pretty cool. So I have that. Originally, I did want to make one for each clan. You know, it's probably something I'll get around to eventually. You know me. But it was he was asking me about making icons for stuff because I was making with the 3D printer. I was trying to make like coins, like Orky coins. Yeah, I was trying to make coins for your command points. I wanted something to track me command points. So I was thinking like if I make Orky coins, I could do them or use them as objective markers as well at the same time, that type of thing. So I made like this sort of blood axe one, and then I just put like an Orky face on the other side. I don't know. I think I'll, you know, eventually I can make things up for other clans and print
That's
them
a good
off.
idea.
Bit of a laugh.
I've seen a couple of people do that with the 3D printers where they've done the little, you know, the command point counters and
trackers. Yeah, people making trackers and stuff.
Yeah, quite a good idea.
I mean, there's nothing stopping you from making it out of plastic card. It's just a lot easier for you to turn around and tell it to go, all right, I want 15. There you go, boom. Save your poor hand from Whittler's thumb. Jesus.
I'd never touched plastic card until the first lockdown and found the orc community. And then saw like Nathan, you know, the Pale Orc and Rox, and they were all doing the Stompers, I think it was.
The Stomper, yeah. Nate made his out of cardboard, but he hardened it with super glue. He got the cardboard to soak up the super glue. I was laughing at the madness. The amount of super glue, cheap super glue he went through was mad. Because he coated the whole thing.
Good though.
yeah. Oh,
I've got to have a go. Yeah. And that was it. Blew me budget on plastic card and super glue and
yeah, man, you can
enjoyed it.
You can definitely spend some money on like the proper stuff, like the evergreen stuff. Like I have some tubing here.
Yeah.
From evergreen, but this stuff isn't cheap. Like you're gonna end up getting it in
yeah, it's expensive stuff, isn't it?
Like scale model places, like or trains. Yeah, the trains tend to have them. The assortment piece is good actually. This assortment set on the tube, 7 assortment pieces. That's good for doing orky stuff because you have various sizes. But yeah, you'll get it in like model railway shops and all this type of stuff. And there's some great stuff, man. But yeah, it tends not to be cheap there. You just need to be careful if you're buying plastic card. What you're buying exactly. Whether it's ABS.
Sometimes you don't stick with plastic glue, does it?
Yeah. Sometimes it's that ABS stuff, so you have to like super glue it as such. But what you're looking for is the word styrene in it. Sheet styrene. Yeah. That's the type of stuff you're looking for. Make sure it's styrene.
I use a lot of the plumbing pipe from like DIY stores. I built a Mega Track scrap jet out of just a piece of plumbing pipe, cut it on an angle for the front, stuck some wings on it. Lovely. Got perfect fuselage. Could make a Dakar jet out of that, I reckon.
But yeah, you can be amazed what you can make them out of. I think Dread made what did he make?
A hose.
Yeah, it was the head of, you know, the conical shaped head off of a hose that you twist. He used that as the body of a jet and just went to town.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and it looks class, man. You'd be surprised, like. Yeah. It's amazing what some people can do creatively with bits and pieces, or they'll do something with something you'll see every day, but you never looked at it that way. Kind of, it's like someone will get like the garden hose head and turn it into a jet fighter. You know, things you wouldn't normally think of.
I've noticed I've been looking at things different now, like food packaging. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't throw that in the recycling. I want that. And he's like, well, you keep all that, all the toilet rolls and the centers out of the kitchen roll and oh god. Everything.
I used to keep the cores out of the till rolls when they used to be plastic till rolls when I was a barman, and I had loads of them for like pipes or barrels or
I've run out. That's why I need to get back to work.
Restock your supplies.
Just for the till rolls, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to hold on to them. People used to think I was mad. What are you holding on to that for? It's like, never you mind. Look, just hold on to them for me, yeah? Yeah, all right, grand now. So then you'd have your mates going, oh, there's one there.
The recycling bin's definitely been less full lately.
Looted. It has been looted.
Yeah. And kids' toys. I hope my son's not watching, but yeah. These Lego tires, they're great as well.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of sacrilege to me. I've seen some absolutely cracking work done with Lego, but I'm like, cutting up bits of Lego and gluing bits of Lego. That's Jesus. That's
fine.
That's heresy. How could you do such a thing? Because I started off with Lego.
You buy the cheap stuff if you're going to glue it together.
Yeah, yeah.
The knockoff Lego. Yeah.
The knockoff stuff, definitely. Yeah, I think you're right about that. Get the knockoff stuff if you're going to glue it together.
Yeah.
But like Lego's very useful.
Yeah.
Like especially people who do like casting. If they're casting their own bits, they'll make the box out of the Lego, and you can just break it away afterwards. And you know this
nice smooth edges on it and that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very square, so people use them as the core of some of their conversions as well, and then just layer the plastic card over it. I've seen that done as well. There's quite a few uses for using.
Fancy giving casting a go. I've been thinking about it the last couple of.
I did it once when I was living in London. I did it once. I gave it a bash. I made some engines for Battlefleet Gothic ships. I made the engines, so I made them out of like plastic card or whatever. But I wasn't paying attention, so instead of pouring the silicon as the mold, I ended up pouring the resin as the mold on one half. And because I poured so much of it, I was like, it was melting the plasticine underneath. Oh, it was a mess. It was an absolute mess. I was like, why didn't I pay? What? Yeah, so after that, I just gave it a knock on the head. Mind you, I had two perfectly cast, I had a perfectly cast resin block that had like the indentations of the engines. I took the engines out. Yeah. Oh, it was I remember the black plasticine because it was like the kids sort of plasticine. So obviously I like put the plasticine in the bottom, put the parts into the plasticine, and then I was casting the top layer. And then after that, you take the plasticine off of the silicon, and leave the parts in, and then do the other side. But I made an absolute mess of it. Oh, it was such a mess. Because the resin, I poured so much resin that it generated a lot of heat.
Right.
And then it was a mess, man. I was picking pieces of black plasticine off the floor for months after it. Months. Yeah. Oh my God. I should have done a video on it at the time. It would have been hilarious. It's like, I've tried casting for the first time, and Muggins here has made an absolute bollocks of it.
Look at this.
Look at this.
Look what I did.
Look what I failed to do. Learn from my mistakes. Read the label.
Fancy giving that. What's the Japanese stuff called? It's like the wax, the stuff you heat up.
No. I know what you're on about. Yeah, it's a bluish color. People call it blue stuff, but that's not what it's actually called. It's I forget the official name for it. But that stuff looks really useful in that it's reusable.
Yeah. Yeah, I fancy giving it a go. Not for anything, not recasting models or anything like that, but maybe just a few wheels or a few
bits
tires.
And pieces. I've seen people doing some great work with scatter terrain. So like they'll build a mound, put some bits in, and instead of you sacrificing all your bits to just that one piece, you can then do like a little cast of it with that. Or glyphs. If you make your own glyphs and stuff. Good, anything that's flat, like you could really, any flat detail you can really have a crack at it with that.
Well, Mrs. has got one of those pre-cut machines.
Oh, I've seen them, mate. I've seen them.
Yeah. I lost a few hours a couple of weeks ago doing all the floor plans for a what's it called? Space Hulk.
Oh,
board.
Nice.
All the floor plans, got all the floor plans for it. Found them on the internet. All the different size tiles you need. Thought,
I suppose if you're not able to get the box, the only way you'd be able is to make the tile. I have Space Hulk, and I bought it, I think, in like 2009 when it was limited edition, and then I think they did it in 2013 or 14. They did a limited run.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big pity I don't get why they don't have Space Hulk all the time, because it's a
Yeah.
standalone game, but it's a great way to introduce people, mate. But it's a cracking game.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah.
You know,
I've never played. I want to play so badly. I've never played it. I don't know anyone who owns it either. I think Gar was talking about coming down from Rivets and Decker. He was talking about coming down originally, but I think it's going to be Blood Bowl now.
That's the own Space Hulk. Mate, I have Space Hulk and I love it. But I love the idea of Space Hulk because you can so easily apply it to the orcs. Because if you look in the orc lore, like that's what orcs do, is they get a tractor beam and hold the Space Hulk in place. The big mechs build massive tractor beams and hold the Space Hulk, and then the orcs board it and populate it. You know what I mean? And they use they'll get giant custom force fields going so that it'll hold atmosphere, and they'll slowly populate the whole Space Hulk. So you could literally do games where the orcs are going in to clear out the Hulk.
Meganobs instead of Terminators.
Yeah, exactly. Meganobs. Do some rules maybe for some of the clans, so you could have like different rules for your Bad Meal Meganobs or your Evil Sons ones, or it's definitely doable. Definitely doable.
Planned it all out, got it all on the cricket machine, and bought some of that Architect's card, the thick. I don't know, it's like what 3 mil or something like that, 2.5 mil.
And it'll cut through that, no bother, yeah.
No, and it didn't cut through it.
I was about to say, it'll cut through that.
Yeah, I did it like 2 layers, and then sandwich some of that, the builder's scrim tape between the two layers of cards to try and make it look like the cargo floor, kind of, the Space Hulk floor. But I was going to do it 3D, but just on one side. So yeah, I've got a load of plastic pipe in. I've got the plans, but yeah, I just need a better blade for the machine now that will cut through the thicker card.
Well, there's a channel called Kablams. Yeah, mate called Craig. He uses it. He uses one of those card cutting machines, and he uses it on, I think it's like 1 mil plastic card.
Yeah.
And he gets it to either, I think he gets it so that it cuts it deep enough that it kind of scores, but it cuts it deep enough so that you can just snap it down and it just snaps out. Yeah. And he done like some great stuff, like he did a Gorka Morka fort that was modular, and he was building a load of Necromunda bits and pieces and stuff like that. But he was doing something like what you were talking about there, where it's like you'll have a bottom layer and you'll do detail, and then you'll do like maybe a middle layer and then a top layer. So you'll do like sandwich layers. So you'll cut 3 different stages out, and then when you put all 3 of them together, it looks really nice. Yeah. If you're not able to cut it in one go, you just.
I remember seeing him a few years ago when I was watching like YouTube. Did he do the vertical Necromunda ball?
Yeah, he did.
He's done with all the levels.
Yeah. He's still chipping away at that. I think he's done like a tower for it now, or some other bits and pieces. Dedication to the cause, good man. But
yes, indeed.
Yeah, I think it's like I forget the specific brand, but it's one of those card cutting machines, where he was putting like 1 mil card in and just getting it to score a lot of it, and it looks the part. Same problem for me though. I only have limited space. I'm telling you, if I had a garage, man, it would be probably more full of machines for the own hobby than actual miniatures for the hobby. Bits and pieces. It's like, oh yeah, and you could get a mini lathe, and you could, you'd never stop. It is. It's not. I don't own the mini lathe, but I keep watching videos about, here's how to change your plastic gears into metal gears by making them yourself. Those type of videos, you know what I mean? Those lads, where they just, and then they're talking about gear ratios and all this type of stuff, and I'm just lapping it all up. It's like, yeah, I came on here to look at like how to convert bits for orcs, but I'm watching people casting bronze and aluminium in their garages and their sheds and stuff, and I'm like, yep. One day we'll get there.
Oh, you can't go out. You just you get stuck in that wormhole on YouTube, don't you?
Mate, even before we was in lockdown, that's my average day of viewing is just God knows where it'll go. It's just all over the shop. All over the shop.
I'm watching a lot of them diorama channels. Luke Town, I don't know if you've ever seen him.
Yeah, I've seen his train stuff. It's very, very good, very precise.
Unbelievable.
I think the last one of his I watched was where he put down a rail system underneath the board, and then it's like magnetic so that the vehicles move, that type of thing. I thought that was really cool, man.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, how could you make one of them on the cheap? I'm like,
Little monorail system or something for an orc board or a little mine.
You could do like a monorail system where there's like mine carts. There's a lot of crossover though. That's the thing I like about it, is you can watch rail hobby, or you can watch all sorts. So like people who are doing cutting cardstock, or like as soon as I said 3D printer, me missus is like, so you can make jewelry with it, can you? I'm like, well, I suppose.
If I have to, I will. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover with stuff. It's like if you have mates who do cosplay and whatever else, it's any of the hobbies that are sort of creative, there'll be various bits and pieces of crossover. You know,
I don't know what I prefer more. I enjoy painting the minis, but making the boards, and so when you do play, it's more of a
spectacle.
Yeah, you get immersed right into it. I love the. I've got one battle mat, one of them neoprene rollout mats.
Yeah,
I don't like using it. It's good. It's great if you've not got much space, or you want to travel with it. But I'd rather have a board with loads of levels and
some verticality to it.
Platforms and all that.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, though, when you were saying like if you have to travel with it, or not everyone has the space, so they serve a function. But if you can do what you can do, where you have the space and you can make terrain yourself, and you have the space to do it, then you're probably better off. But for the likes of mugs like me who have to use fold out tables and everything has to fold out and go back.
Try to set it all up and that. I get that.
They serve that function pretty well. But that's what I'm doing with all of this terrain. Is normally when you're playing BattleTech, hold on, I'll show you. I have neoprene mats for BattleTech that I bought, and there's other sheets. So when you're playing the game, it's very flat, because it'll just have a printout of all of the levels that you're playing on. So like you'll get a neoprene mat, and it'll be like a city or a river.
The hex pattern over the top of it,
yeah. So that's what we have. But that's pretty much what I'm doing. Is you can play the game perfectly that way, but it looks nicer if you've got like some 3D stuff. So that's why I started doing this type of thing. And I'm sure other people are doing terrain themselves, but I just wanted to see if I could do it. But I'm doing exactly that, where I'm like, functionally, it's not going to make much of a difference in how the game plays. It just looks nicer.
It makes it feel more. Yeah.
I think people get it. I think people are more drawn to the eye candy. So if we're playing BattleTech and we want to draw more people into the game, it's like, people aren't really going to be bothered if there's like unpainted miniatures on a flat map. But if we've got painted miniatures on a 3D terrain that's painted up, people come and go, "Ooh, what's this?"
Exactly. That's it. Exactly.
The
As always, as a kid, my old man was like massively into trains. He's not a train spotter, but he wouldn't say he was. He nearly is, though. Nearly.
Didn't want to be labelled.
He'd always drag us to like the railway museum whenever we went on holiday anywhere, the steam railway. But that got me massively into the old train sets when I was a kid. And that's where I started. I think me and my brother used to build. We'd save our pocket money every single week, go down to the local little hobby shop, buy a bit of something, come back, plaster of Paris or paper mache, making a mountain. It changed every week, the layout. It never looked the same. Just spend hours and hours outside in the little garage we had, little shed out the back, just covering this piece of wood that we found in paper mache and crap and painting it. Hours of fun, though, with it.
Having a blast, that's it, having an absolute blast with it.
Loved it.
Steve was saying he did his terrain before he did his army, and that's what he was saying. Nice. The arms for the lights are in the way. He said that good terrain makes the game more immersive than painted miniatures. So it seems Steve-O's priorities seem to be about terrain more so than getting the miniatures painted, which is I can understand that. And not everyone's going to have the space or the time to make and paint terrain, but if you get the chance, even old egg cartons can work wonders,
Yeah, that's it. And it's just a bit of imagination, I think. I've been doing that with my latest boards. I use like MDF as the base. I've got a couple of big hinges on the last one I made, and I've hinged it so it folds in half. So it's only 2 foot by 4 foot, so I can then take it to my mate's house. So it just folds back to back. It's easier for me to store it because I'm literally running out of room in the garage now. If I've got the table set up, I've got no room to keep any more stuff at the moment.
I've seen a few of your battle reports that you've did the battles where you've done games, and it seems that way, that once you have everything set up, that there's not much not much space left to go around. But man, it looks awesome. The games do look awesome.
Yeah, made the Blood Bowl stadium. That's all modular. So all the bits I'm just trying to work out at the moment. It's just sat on a piece of MDF, a 2 foot by 4 foot piece of MDF, the pitch, and then the sort of the outside, and all the stands are just polystyrene covered in the card, and they're just on it. But I was chatting to a couple of people in the Discord, and they were saying about like Duplo blocks or something like that. You know, the big Lego.
The big Lego, yeah, the big blocks.
Bore out the bottom of the foam, put them in there, and then fix it with Lego. That's I thought. I was thinking magnets, but the Lego sounds like a really good idea actually, to try and fix it firmly to the board when I set it up.
Yeah, and you can buy one of the tubs of it like for a couple of quid. You know what I mean? You know the starter box sets or whatever. Because I was buying Lego last Christmas for my nephew, and I was looking for box sets of the normal Lego. But they do have boxes of the
just
big
basic
stuff as well.
Bricks. That's all I need. Isn't it?
Yeah. That's all. Yeah, they're mostly just basic bricks. Just the same.
Trying to muck around with magnets, and because at the moment, if you sneeze too much near it, it might all just fall over. Just be a bit careful with it. Plus, I want to take it around my mate's house and stuff when we're playing. A mobile stadium. That's it.
It helps if you're putting a bit of planning into a project like that beforehand, like what you were thinking, so you'll know, right, okay, if you want to build a big terrain piece, what are you going to deal with it? Is it just going to stay at your place? That's grand. It's the same for miniatures for me as well. If it's a big miniature, I'm thinking to myself, it needs to be modular because I need to transport it. How am I going to transport it? Well, I need to break it down and put it into this case that I have. So it always helps to sort of think ahead of how are you going to use something and how are you going to get it to that place that you're going to use it. It's grand if you're building like a set piece and people just come to yours and it's only going to stay there and you have the space for it. That then you're pretty much sorted in that regard. But I'd say 90% of people don't have that luxury when it comes to the hobby. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because
even if you have a dedicated space, you may not want it to just be, a quarter of it or however much of the space taken up. Yeah, but the same board, you'll get bored. It's the same as anything. If you're only playing on the one board all the time, you'll get bored of it. Like,
get bored pretty quick. Yeah, you get bored with it pretty quick.
You want some modularity.
I've done my boards, the ones I've actually textured and put like pieces of foam fixed to it, but they're reversible. So I use a couple of big like trellises underneath it. I've got the side of an old wardrobe as the actual base across two trellises, and then two trellises, and then the boards sit on top of it. You can fold them down and stash them behind it. And I've got 4 or 5 boards out that are reversible. So I've got a city side on one side, and you can flip it over, and it's the lava on the other side. So it works quite nicely. You can flip them over. Then just try and do modular terrain that you can sort of put anywhere on the board then.
Well, this is it. Yeah, modular terrain helps. I know I'm talking about Battletech a fair bit, but there's a lot of concepts that, no matter what war game you're playing, that'll help in that regard. So you're talking about doing it for a city. I was designing this terrain for use for Battletech. I had a few rules that I came up with when I was coming up with the design concept for them. So the first one that I came up with is they're all on these hex terrains. So this is the size, the hexes on the maps. They're all on the hex terrains. So each piece needs to be able to fit in its hex and not overhang. That way, they're fully modular and they can all butt up against each other. Whereas if I had even a little bit of overhang on any of the buildings, they won't be able to stack in together. You know what I mean? And I can take this fuel tank out and I can put this building in, and they'll
They'll
all
not overhanging
mesh
the
together.
hex.
Yeah, there's no overhang, so I can put in a tall building or whatever, or you know what I mean. That was like the first thing I decided before I even decided to design things, was that they need to be fully modular, and none of these will butt into each other no matter what angle I put them at, because they don't overhang their hex, and the hex is the same across them. So it helps if you know, if even if you put a little bit of thought into the design or the use beforehand. It helps. But like if you're doing like a city map for 40k, I'd want something like that. But then the problem you have with 40k is you don't want all the buildings to be roughly the same. But you can do some modularity where it's like, well, you know, this is the general footprint I'll use for the building. So I can build, you could still do like a round corner that's by itself. But if you match it up with this other round corner and that other round corner I've built, you could make a round building. You can make a full building, or you could split those pieces up and you can have them as scatter terrain in and of themselves, or, you know, it helps to put a bit of thought into things sometimes. I don't always do it myself, you know. It's easier to preach it than it is to practice it at times, but I found with this hex terrain that I needed to I decided, this needs to all be able to match up.
Where you've got a laid out battle grid, it's a bit easier. With 40k, it's just, well, there's a 8x4, 6x4 map, or not anymore, whatever it is now.
Whatever the dimensions are.
Yeah, whatever the new size is. But
it's a lot easier with a hex grid, but there's a freeform version of it called Alpha Strike, which is the same, and I'm looking at designing stuff for that maybe later down the line, or even using these pieces and taking them off the hex bases when I'm 3D printing them. But we'll see what happens.
But measure range rather than using the hex on that.
It's a rule set where it converts over. So normally, like, everything's measured in hexes, but it's done in inches then, and then it uses more like true line of sight. So it's more like 40k in that regard. I haven't really dabbled with it much yet, but it's interesting.
Then you swap out your battle mechs for killer cans and death dreads. Yeah?
Well, you could do that, or you could design, like, there are rules to design your own vehicles in when you're playing BattleTech, so you can make killer cans and make rules for Gorkanautes. You know what I mean? There's nothing stopping you. Vehicle building rules. It's like, oh, well, I want the battle wagon. What rules do you reckon the battle wagon will have? I'll probably have this, this, and this. Obviously, it'll have like the BattleTech version of whatever its weapons are. So, you know, instead of like big shooters, it would have maybe like auto cannons or machine guns or something, or, you know what I mean? And then you just call it whatever you want to call it, and then, you know, away you go. Nothing's stopping you. Rust is a must. Do a second there on these. Stack of Flack of Flames here. What's the crack? Dave is saying, I'm a brave man for being at the BattleTech. Find a game of Blood Bowl in central Madrid is hard enough. That is true. I am lucky though, Dave, that there's some veteran players where I live in Dublin. So there's about 4 or 5 veteran players who play a lot. And then there's a lot of more people are starting to crop up now. But I've sort of, they're loving this. When I'm like, oh, what do you think of this terrain? And they're rubbing their hands together and they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I was thinking of being very nitpicky with my designs. And they're like, no, it's great, mate. It's great. You know, keep doing what you're doing. So,
you won't be struggling for a game then?
Nah, not at all. I was playing a campaign before lockdown started. I was playing like I suppose you'd call it like a narrative campaign that you'd have in 40k, where it's like I was running a mercenary company, my mate was always running the opponents for me. So he's kind of a GM, kind of not. So like he'll generate contracts for me. There's a whole campaign rulebook for running a mercenary company. So, you know, you have your costs, your overheads, but it's all streamlined in a system. It's called the Chaos Campaign System. I suppose you could use it for other war games as well. So if you wanted to, you could do it like if you were running a 40k army, you could easily translate it over. You know what I mean? You can always do that. I've always had an interest in campaign systems. So seeing how it's done in one system, you know, they're just rules that are used for not actually playing the game, but, you know, extra rules where it's like, oh, well, you know, it's going to cost us this much for this, and we lost a mech and we need to replace it, or we got salvaged, so we get this many points, you know, more chest points. It's abstracted out. There is more nitty gritty version where you're literally counting the pennies, and it's like, you spent this much ammo, have to replace it. You know, you can go as fine grained into some stuff as you want.
Micromanage your
yeah. Some people are really into that, and some people have the time for it. But there are more streamlined and abstract systems.
Where do you play then? Have you got like a local gaming group or club, or do you just play at home?
When the last game of 40k I played was in a pub, in the basement of a pub that does games on Tuesdays. Well, it did games on Tuesdays. It's been closed for a while now. We'll see what the story is. But yeah, that was Thomas House on Thomas House up near the Guinness Brewery in Dublin City. So I was going in there for games. I played a game against Necrons. I think it was like the second ever game I've played against Necrons or something. It was fun though. It was good crack. And yeah, that was before we went into lockdown. And then I'd go there, or normally if I'm playing the campaign, I go around to my mate's gaff. He doesn't live far away from me, but I haven't even visited him in like 8 months or something. You know, I haven't seen him in I don't know how long. But yeah, no, there's a few places. There's like a friendly local gaming store. Go in there a few times as well. I think it's more so that other people see us playing the game. We're trying to get other people into it. So it's a case of, you know, you can go play in the basement of a pub, but who's going to see you playing in the basement of a pub? You know, other than other gamers. So if you're playing in a local gaming store, you know, at least passers-by might see the game and be like, oh yeah, the amount of people have been like, Battletech, that's still around. Oh yeah, I think I've some in the attic somewhere. Like there's loads of people like that. So it's fun. But it'd be like playing, it's like when I was in London and we went into, me and me mates in London used to play in Dark Sphere, which is a gaming store just near Waterloo Station. It's not far from the Imperial War Museum, actually. It's on Hercules Street, I think. And we were doing that with Battlefleet Gothic. We were really into playing Battlefleet Gothic. And the amount of guys who came up to us and they were like, oh, Battlefleet Gothic, I have some of this. I haven't seen it played. You know, people would just join in like, do you have a group? Do you have something? No, we don't. Oh, I suppose we better. You know, you'd end up getting a chat going and people would just... That all started from one guy going, he wanted to play Battlefleet Gothic on, I think it was on like the Daka forum.
Nice.
He decided he wanted to play like one day of like a small tournament sort of. And then after that tournament, like a lot of us, I think it was about 8 of us, were like, we should play this more often. And then we just got the ball rolling and played campaigns, and yeah, it was good crack. Make some great friends.
But I missed out a bit not being part of a game group. I used to play at SSWG, the Southend on Sea Wargaming. But it's like an hour's drive for me from here. It's just being a chef, like crazy hours.
The shift walk.
Yeah, it's just you never get the time to do a dedicated. Right, every Wednesday I'm going to play. I can't do that. My shift pattern's different every week. You know,
I've always had that as well, man. That's why I've never played D&D games after a while, or I never get, like, I signed up for Blood Bowl leagues to play online with the video game, but I had to drop out because it's like I literally can't get a game in with some of these lads because I'm sleeping when they're awake and they're awake when I'm sleeping, and the days off I have aren't consistent. So it's a killer, like it really is.
Oh, yeah. I think that's another reason I started the YouTube channel or restarted it. It's just getting people in my little group inspired and interested in it, you know, and just it's made them all crack out their armies and paint them all up more, and they're all keen to get painted and get, you know, play some games and stuff. So it's made it a bit more, people seem more keen to get on board with it, you know.
Do you want to be on the battle reports on the channel, do they?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, of course nice. I do. Yeah.
That's a good catalyst, actually. Yeah, that's.
It helped me get my hobby done and then stop procrastinating about it and just actually I've got to get this done because I've got a game next week. I'm supposed to be filming it, so it makes you have to do it.
Deadline. You know? Yeah.
That's it. Definitely. That's what I've been liking the 40k or community challenges as well. It makes you do stuff.
I'm terrible at them. I'm like, I get halfway through projects and I get distracted with something else, you know?
Yeah. That's actually made me pick something up though and do it from start to finish because I know you got a month, you got to do it. So I try and get it out of the way and get it done. I'm like, oh, I've wanted to do that for so long. I do stuff that I've not done all the challenges, but the ones that have fitted into something I wanted to do. So I thought, oh, great. I've always wanted to do that. So it gets you inspired.
That's the thing with like doing monthly challenges and the fact that they change all the time is you may not be in one because it's not what you want, but then you never know. The next month it'll be like, oh, I've been wanting to do a raw boss on a bike for a good while now. You know, I've just been waiting for an excuse. Yeah.
Gives you that push.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it done.
And then you get to see other people's take on the same thing as well. So it's
why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Like Sydney's Death Dread on a bike, I was like, that is brilliant, mate.
Nah, Jackie Can was the better one. Jackie Can.
Jackie Can, yeah.
Oh, he should have ended that one. That was the one.
Definitely.
I loved that.
I've never seen a more dynamic kill a can or dread in my life. I really haven't.
I could just see it actually happening now. It's so funny.
What, like an orc boy who found a stash of old cheesy kung fu movies, and he was just like, you know, thinks he's Bruce Lee. You know what I mean? It's only short of painting his Death Dread like yellow with black stripes down the sides of it. That'd be brilliant. Weld a headband on, or even not even weld a headband on, just have one tied. See what I mean? Like, you can get ridiculous with orcs. That's great crack, man.
He's good though, isn't it? Yeah. Do anything you like. Within reason.
Well, you know. With orcs, like, I think you're they're really open to interpretation. You can go nuts with them. You really can. And then especially, I love it when someone does something you didn't expect and you're like, that's just mental, but it works.
It works, yeah. Yeah.
Happens a lot as well.
Been wanting to make a blimp. I want to make a blimp, an orc blimp. For the stadium just floating over the top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the advertising.
Like tires.
Yeah, Goodyear tires.
What was the Gorka Morka tire brand they had? Super Grippos, I think they were called.
Super Grippos.
Super Grip. Google it afterwards, mate, and have a look. But yeah, there was like a Gorka Morka thing where it was like, I think there was like Super Grippo tires. It was like an ad campaign, but yeah, like Goodyear or Good Orc or something, or that sort of thing. Like I always had an idea for fuel. I always thought of, like, if you played with Lego, they had Octan, so it's like OCTAN. I always thought of Orctan as a fuel truck. I always thought that would make a great name for a fuel brand, Orctan.
I've got
Octan.
Just ordered an Italiari 1970s Ford Transit van kit off Amazon. It was about 20 quid.
It's going to be a chippy van, is it?
It's going to be the TV van with satellite dish on the top.
I thought you were going to do like a chippy van. I'm like, Well, there you go.
Convert into the mobile TV.
Yeah, the mobile network with like a dish sticking out the top or whatever, and wires and bits, everything. Yeah, that sounds class, man. Yeah, that'd be good crack. Bits of wires everywhere.
Got an old Scorcher buggy as well, you know, with the little metal trailer on the back.
Yeah, the tank.
With the old Scorcher, and I'm converting that up into the lawnmower for the pitch. So it's got the biker riding it at the front, take the front wheel out, put the bar at the front. There'll be the blades for the mower. And powered up. One of Kyle's little grots getting sucked up.
Sucked up and diced into bits.
Yeah,
like the push mowers. Yeah, I think I've seen some people do like death rollers like that as well.
Yeah,
they do look class, man. Suck them up, chop them up into pieces, and spit them out the other side as fertilizer for the pitch. Hey, see?
Exactly. There's some people that I don't know, just that because it's not set in obviously the 40k setting, is it? It's the fantasy setting.
Blood Bowl
Yeah.
was kind of weird in that it was fantasy, but it was also kind of like its own universe at the same time.
Right.
So there was a lot of crossover, but it wasn't exactly the old world either, because it had some weird things like chainsaws and Cabal TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of cable TV. So it's it was kind of the old world. It was mostly the old world, but it was also its own thing as well. It was kind of because they used to take the piss out of stuff. It was hilarious. It is.
I
Yeah.
do like the comedy in it. It's
Oh yeah. Very
just,
tongue in cheek. Very.
yeah, I think modern 40k is kind of losing that a little bit, and it? It's getting a bit
So
too
it's a bit
serious.
Yeah.
Bit
It
too
does like to
serious.
take itself very seriously.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's another reason I like Orcs, the slight comedy value.
They used to be a lot more comical back in the day. Like second ed orcs are still very sort of like clownish humor, more slapstick in their humor than the change that happened in third edition, where orcs became more sort of serious, brutish weapons. You know, and less having a laugh. Obviously, there's still elements of that, but when it's coming across in the lore, it's not as hilarious as it used to be. Mind you, I haven't read that new book that came out. I need to give it a read. The new Orky one. Is it Cunning Brutal or something like that? I can't remember.
Oh yeah. I loved that. I fell in love with that book. That was. I listened to the audio book on Audible thing. On that's. Yeah, it was really funny. Some of the voice acting, some people really didn't like it because it was a bit too comical for some people, I think. But I loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
But this is the thing, though. Like, some of the old school people will probably like it a bit more. I know this is like stereotyping, but I think it depends when you start collecting orcs as to whether you think they should be serious or not. So, like I was saying, second ed and older, there's a lot more slapstick comedy in the orcs, and then third ed onwards, they tend to be more serious. So I can understand how some people would, you're never going to please all of orc players because depending on when they joined the hobby, their perception of what the orcs are, because it's changed, is going to be different. Not that anyone's right or wrong, it's just interesting.
Yeah, you can do it, mate. You like if you want the comedy, go for that when you're making yours. If you want to take it a bit more seriously, go for it. You can do either, can't you?
As long as you're having a laugh.
Exactly. That's what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it?
This is very true.
A few beers.
But even that, you know what I mean? Some people might disagree with you. Drinking while gaming. No.
You got to drink while you're gaming.
You
can't remember what turn it is. You're not playing the game right.
Well, look, that's my. Well, I think when it comes to 40k, it's gotten to the stage now that the rules have changed that often, and I have fragments of old rule sets in my head. I'm always either forgetting something or getting something wrong at this point.
Yeah.
It's just a word of warning. If people are looking for professional grade advice in regards to playing the game, you're in the wrong place, mate. You're in the wrong place.
I've never been the greatest player ever. I've never been a great, not very tactical, and just sort of just go for it. Especially with orcs, and it's just I never think about it too much. But then when you start recording the games as well, oh my god, I can't.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. It's like your head needs to be in the game, but also you need to remember to record and what specific things happen during a turn.
Yeah.
When you're talking about it or you're taking notes. So you're kind of distracted from playing at the same time if you're recording.
Yeah, make tactical decisions. And
I'm sure it's an ability that people, get better at as they're going through things. But
so
it can be a bit difficult.
I hope so. One day.
It can be. Like even when I've done it with Battletech or me really old school ones, when I used to go to tournaments back in the day, like years ago, I just do turn summaries. And some people don't like that, but I'm playing a game and then I'm just sort of telling you what's happened.
what's
after the
happened.
fact. Or if something very specific happens, I'll tell you. It's like, oh, you know, this critical role here when the two bosses were fighting each other, you know, he hit him and we undid him and we rolled for the saves and then you pan over to the saves and it's like 5-1s and now he's dead. You know, stuff like that.
I started like that, just doing the turn summaries, and then I was missing so many like epic moments in a game, you know, where just you needed to make 4 saves and then you make them all, or, you know, you only needed to hit with 1 dice and you roll 6 1s, and it's like, my God, what is happening? You know, it's just missing. So I just started recording them all. And
yeah, well, you'd nearly need like an overhead camera recording the whole thing, and then
almost,
yeah, and then going through it after the fact. But then you're adding in a whole layer of editing.
Yeah.
You're then gonna have to sit through, like, you know, you might be playing a game and it might take like 2.5 hours, 3 hours to play the game, but there might be 5 hours of footage because, you know, you know, set up or prep or break, you know, whatever. You always record more than you actually played the game. So I think there's that whole aspect of it as well, that I think if you haven't tried to make a battle report, you don't realise there's a lot of effort involved. Even the shitty battle reports, there was a lot of effort involved.
Yeah.
You know, an awful lot of effort. Hobby Gate was saying, Thor, it was a great time to play Chaos. It was. 3.5 Codex was really cool, man. Really cool. I've been tempted by Chaos. I know Steve-O's dabbled with them in the past. I think Chaos needs and Imperial Guard are armies that if I had a small fortune.
Yeah. I got a Death Guard army. So, yeah. It's my other. Yeah. Chaos.
I do have some deck guard stuff because I got the Conquest magazines. I was originally going to do a series with my brother, getting him into the hobby, but, you know, we just didn't have the time to do it. We recorded a few bits and pieces, and then I lost the footage, and I was like, oh, that's the end of that. So I have some Death Guard models, but I just haven't been bothered to paint them. You know what I mean? I did Iron Warriors.
Yeah.
Iron Warriors. Yeah, they're not Iron Hands. They all sound too similar, these like loyalists and traitor factions. They all sound very similar to me. I have some Iron Warriors I did up from spare Space Marines I had, and I did them as a kill team. I was like, that's it. Nice. That'll satiate that. You know, I'll just do like that. Yeah, you know, they'll scratch that itch. Like 10 or so guys, that'll do. You know, Iron Warriors with cultists. And I was like, yep, looks good. And then I don't think I've played Kill Team since. You know, it's like, oh, I'll do this. I'll put some effort into this.
Yeah, I started playing Kill Team. In the first lockdown, I was playing a bit with my son and stuff. That was good. Good fun.
I don't know what happened. For me, it felt like Kill Team came out. There was a big surge of enthusiasm, and then I didn't notice it being played as much. I don't know. Maybe that just happens in the hobby where it's like the latest hotness. Everyone jumps on the craze, and then it's sort of, sometimes it sticks around.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't. You know.
Definitely felt like that with the new Blood Bowl release. Like that was like everyone was talking about it. That's why I got in it. It's just like everyone seemed to be talking about it, and I was like, I never even looked at it, never played it. And I was like, oh yeah, and then started watching a few match reports online, and it looks like a real fun game. So I thought, yeah, I'll have a crack at that.
I haven't played the new version. I haven't really even looked at it, to be honest with you. But I do know that there are a few online Blood Bowl leagues that are run here. There's a scene for it here in Ireland. There's a good few lads who play Blood Bowl. But like
it just seems like so many people who play 40k seem to also play Blood Bowl. I know there's suddenly that, oh yeah, I've played Blood Bowl and never spoken about it, you know.
I suppose with it being one of GW's specialist games, you know, one of the more popular specialist games. I think like Blood Bowl is probably one of the more popular ones.
It does seem like it's been pretty well supported. Most of the stuff's out there now. They've got a few teams still released, but they seem to be bringing out a lot of the teams, the new ones.
But there's a large community to it though as well.
Yeah.
Like even when it was no longer supported, there seems to be a large Blood Bowl community that stuck with it. I think each of the specialist games have their community, but they're of various sizes. Like I know Gorka Morka has one. I helped set up a Facebook page for it, and I think it's got like 2,000 people in there or something like that. But that's, small in comparison to the likes of maybe Battlefleet Gothic or Blood Bowl would definitely be one of the bigger ones. Blood Bowl, Necromunda, they're probably the biggest of the specialist games.
Oh, so many games and so little time.
Oh, yeah, this is it. You can only spread yourself so thin.
And that's it, isn't it?
That is indeed it. I think it's like maybe 2 or 3 games, or really invest yourself into one game. I think that's what 40k has become these days for a lot of people. If you want to stay in on like the competitiveness or keep up with the meta, it's kind of like all consuming in that regard.
Yeah, a little bit. I try not to chase the meta too much. Just buy the stuff I like and.
Changes too quickly for me. I'm like, I'll play a game when I play a game. I'll worry about it then,
Yeah, know what I like. Just play what I like, and that's it.
Yeah, and go from there. Now, where is the metal that I had? No, that's called grey. Gunmetal. I've been messing around with these game color paints and enjoying
the Vallejo ones. So.
Yeah. Game color. I've only recently bought a load of their extra opaque. I think I have all the extra opaques now. Some look really nice.
Got to you, did he?
Dim did indeed get to me. I love how you know. You're like, Dim got to you, did he? He's like, yeah, he got to me. But I bought some of the Game Watch set.
He's on commission.
He's on it. Well, at his rate, I'd be surprised if he isn't. But I tried some of the other extra opaques, and they remind me of the old Citadel Foundation paints a lot. And they were, ones that got extra pigment in them.
Yeah.
They're really good. I always liked them.
Not got any of the game ones. I've got a lot of the Model Air ones.
Model Air washes. They're slightly, they're different. I think like the game washes are more like your traditional sort of wash when you think of like a Games Workshop. Like for instance, this coin here, I give it some sepia wash on the other side, so you can see where it's very much like the GW ones where it tinges the whole thing a specific color, and then you'll come back in and probably like dry brush or stipple it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Whereas the model washes I have as well, they're different. I think they'd be more for like doing streaking and such. They're more subtle.
Right.
Do you get me? They're a lot more subtle. They come in larger bottles, but they're more subtle, and they're not as stark, I find, as like the game washes. So they each sort of serve a different function, which is understandable because they're more aimed at scale modelers. But
right,
you definitely have a bit of fun with them.
I've been using some of the contrast paints, but I've just been using them as washes and staining the snakebite leather. It's great over a white
base coat.
Yeah, a white base coat. But then I've used it for some shoulder armor guards on some Black Templars. But it dyed it a nice sort of ivory colour, but then made it look like a really old ivory colour, and just sort of stained in the corners, look like dirt accumulation, and really nice for that sort of thing. But I've never used them as like how you're supposed to use them, I suppose, or how GW told you were supposed to use them.
I think a lot of people have found uses for them. Like a lot of the lads who do BattleTech stuff, because it's small, they use the contrast paints a fair bit on them, and they look really good because it's a lot of small detail. Like there's no large smooth, there's no cloaks, there's no skin on them. They're supposed to be giant robots, so they're absolutely covered in panel lines and stuff like that. So they're perfect miniatures for it.
Yeah.
So you throw your contrast paint over this, and it works well. You just have to be careful that it doesn't pool in large areas. But most of it, so it's all detailed area. So and that's where contrast seems to work best straight out of the pot is like 4 cloaks or a highly detailed area. Yeah, stuff like that. Something where it's got a lot of recess to sit in and whatnot. Obviously I haven't painted him yet, but I'll give him a whack of some contrast. That's why I bothered to get contrast, was literally just to paint BattleTech stuff. Because I tried it on an Orc boy and I was like, ugh, this is a bit bit hit and miss. You know, it looks like I've just put glitter on this. It doesn't look like it's rusty or metal. Yeah, literally looks like I've just put glitter on this thing. I'll have to sort it out a bit heavier. That'll do. When you're dabbing stuff or you're doing stippling or dry brushing, it's trying to find the less is more sort of
that's it.
type of vibe with it. You wanna get paint on it, but you don't want to get too much paint on it. You know.
I use this stuff, the pluck foam, you know, from the.
Oh yeah, yeah.
For the
Sponging. Yeah,
sponging on this nice.
Or the old blister packs. You remember you used to get the foam and that used to be ace for it.
Mm-hmm. Never forget this stuff. I bought them when I moved house to pack up some models. I spent £100 on foam. Our missus went mad when she saw this. I still hear it today. Oh, is that the £100 foam you're using there to sponge that on your model?
Go into our makeup kit and be like, how much was that brush, love? How much? 50 quid for one brush. For one brush. It's like, yeah. Don't think we don't know, all right? We just don't say nothing about it, all right? So, you know. Wasted them games. I remember my sister got me to buy her a lipstick in London because she couldn't get it in Ireland. And I was shocked. I think it was like MAC or something like that. And I was like, how much? I think it was like, I can't remember the price, but I was like, what? So, like, you know, yeah. I'm like, I'm glad I don't wear this stuff myself because, Jesus, it was not cheap. Holy smokes. Mixed results. We'll try dabble a bit of white onto this over. I don't know. I haven't quite decided what to do, Clint. I haven't. I'm just sort of experimenting as I go and hoping for the best.
Might be able to do that. Yeah, with a sponge might. Yeah, nice and like a finish on it, might it, with a sponge.
I do have sponges. I have these sponging sticks, but I wasn't too impressed with them, if I'm being bothered. No, these weathering sticks, don't bother with them. If you can just get a bit of sponge, it's just they're bleeding hassle, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a bad concept.
Pull it out and then break it off, do you?
Yeah, well, I think you're supposed to pull it out and then just use the stick to use the stick as something to hold it. Like, I've used that bit there, so I'll cut that bit off. That's been used. So I got paint dried into it, so I'll try that. Give it a bash. I think you're just supposed to boop, boop, boop. And see how it goes. But yeah, I wouldn't, like, just get a bleeding tweezers and some sponge, or, you know, a lump of sponge in your fingers. You don't need to be buying Green Stuff World weathering sticks. No. I just saw them and I was like, oh, I'll try it. I'll see what they're like.
Yeah. And
I was like, you don't really need to.
Yeah, you use anything, kitchen sponge, anything.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Isn't that how they make the clump foliage? Isn't that made from sponge, I think?
Yeah.
I've seen videos of people showing you how to make your own sort of clump foliage, and they've literally gotten like cheap sponge in a blender with a bit of water, and they've just like made batches of this stuff. Then they just throw in some poster paint and a little bit of PVA glue so it sticks, clumps together to itself a little bit, and then that's it.
I used for my I did a volcano board, and on that I actually used the ash from the barbecue.
Oof.
For the board, and then sealed it all in. Doesn't smell now, but it worked perfectly. It did the trick. Shitload of PVA on it, a little bit of watered down PVA over the top afterwards,
and it looks the part.
Yeah, it looks the part. Yeah, it literally is ash wasteland.
Doesn't look realistic. Well, you know, someone criticizing your board, you'd be, I think you'll know.
That is actually ash.
That is actually ash, mate. No.
You got use.
Doesn't look the part.
Just get a wash on it and stuff. Look better on it. Put it
Yeah,
together
we
a
might.
bit.
Yeah, we'll throw a bit of. You know what? We'll throw a bit of rust wash on it. Now that we're talking about it, and we have the. Where's the model wash? I had a tub. Oh, there it is. We might give it a bit of this, bit of the Lavis oxide, or just rust. We'll give it a
Nice.
give it a bit of that. Poke saying he can't tell if we're grilling or playing Warhammer. Why not do both?
Exactly.
Tommy saying he uses the kitchen sponge big pack. Chop them. Yeah. Kitchen sponge. You might have the scouring pads on them. Do you know which I think would be the best? Do you know the really super cheap car sponges? And they're just pure sponge. There's no scour pad on them. Those super cheap ones. I reckon they'd probably be the best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
But I know you can buy like packs of kitchen sponges. If you can get them so that they're plain and they don't have a scouring pad on one side, then yeah, you're laughing, man.
You get them in cheap shops like B&M and stuff like that. You go in there and get them well cheap in the UK.
Right. Let's give this a
Love
bash.
that when you find stuff that's not actually made for the hobby and you can use it for the hobby. It's always cheaper, isn't it?
Ah, yeah. Anything that's sort of like, what is it in survival? If it's got tactical knife instead of just knife, the price goes up. If it's gaming, if it says gaming chair, it's going to be more expensive. And it's the same with us. Like if it's got a hobby tool or hobby brush, it's like the price goes up straight away.
Boom.
Yep.
Straight away.
So you need to just shop about and see what you can get. So it's like, El Cheapo brushes. You know what I mean? El Cheapo.
I've never bought a big money brush.
Mate, if you're spending £5 on 10 brushes or less, you know what I mean? You don't really care if you kill them. And then there's like the high end brushes. So I have a mixed bag of everything. Like I've got some Kalinsky Sable brushes for doing characters and stuff, but
oof. Yeah.
They're nice. I think I just want to tinge this whole thing with this colour. Or is it a bit much?
Getting a bit of paint on Steve though.
Steve? What's this, his war boss or is this a character?
Yeah, nearly finished him.
Ah, nice.
It's the gun arm to do, really.
Trying to decide whether I like this wash or not on it. I think it looks more rusty, definitely.
That looks quite good, actually.
It's gone. I think the issue I'm only having is my eye is freaking out a bit because it's gone from a very matte colour. This sort of. It's more gloss like.
Yeah, that looks pretty convincing on my big telly over here. I'm looking at it, looks good.
What do we think? To be real pro, you need Broken Toad Mark 3 Sable brushes. They're the ones I bought, Dave. Shh, don't tell nobody. Pale's asking, so when we doing a tabletop simulator league? Pale, the only way I'd play a tabletop simulator league is if people only played orcs, and, we know that's not going to happen with you around. Hey! Oh, shots fired! Shots fired! And look, lads, if he's like the boys are getting into tabletop simulator, if you want to do a league, fire away, lads, fire away.
I've had my arse handed to me so many times by Pale.
No, I'm sure.
Oh, he's a good player. He's a good player. That's it. You got to play the good players if you want to get better.
Yeah, it's like chess, yeah.
Yeah.
And the way you improve is by playing people who are better at it.
Better than you. Yeah. That's it. And he's certainly better than me.
Well, there you go. Are we going to have a title for, top of the league winner? Is this what it's going to be?
Well, we might as well just do second place because Nathan's going to get first.
Well, depends who enters.
Yeah.
Depends who enters.
True.
If Tanya shows up, she'll give him a run for his money. Yeah, see what I mean?
Yeah, that could be quite good.
you know. But yeah.
What does Pale think? Is he in the chat? Is he going to take
What
her?
does he think? Do you think he'd be able to take Tanya, Pale? What do you reckon? I think she hands your ass me.
Ooh.
Oh.
He won't like that.
No, he won't. I'll see if he replies to it. I'm waiting. He's saying, Jesus, Clint, it's not that bad.
No, it's worse.
Pokes, like, pokes, poking fun. Pale gets beat by a girl, you know, in quotes. Oh, I don't know, man.
I think Sid was watching the game the other night. I played with Nathan in the Discord, and I think he cried himself to sleep that night. He was such a pounding. He was a bit upset, bless him.
Oh, bless Sid. Yes.
Watch my games for the nice terrain, not tabletop simulator. You're going to be upset.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. You can. I suppose it's your approach. Like you can go for a more competitive tournament style. You know, if you.
Oh no.
You're into that aspect of it, and I think that's a good thing about the hobby is you can do that, but you can also have kind of like a beer and pretzels kind of approach. Apparently, is what they call it, where it's like you're meeting up with your mate and you're having a laugh, you know, and you're looking at the table and you just have like a narrative going, and you know neither way is in quotes, you know, sort of the right way to play.
No,
you can play it whatever way you want, like you know.
Yeah.
It's just about finding
the games. The enjoyment of the game is defined by the people you play with, in my opinion. I think.
I think you're right.
It's not about the rule set. It's not about the models. It's not about support from G. It's who you play with. If you play with a really tight group of friends that you've met, or you play it your way, then you don't have to. But if you're just playing pickup games at a local gaming store, you don't know the guy you're playing. There's no agreement beforehand, so it can all go a bit wrong, can't it? I think.
Yeah, it can go a bit pear-shaped depending. I suppose that's when you really are leaning on the rule set a lot more when you don't pick up games.
I've never had to experience that, so.
Okay, so you've never had like a pickup game.
Well, obviously with Nathan, so it's kind of put me off. No, I'm joking. No, he's been real good.
He's ruined it for me. He's ruined it. I'm traumatized. Yeah, absolutely traumatized.
As well, I think it's a bit different on Tabletop Simulator because it's all digital. It's nothing real. If you spent I don't know 6 months painting up your beautiful army that you absolutely love, and like all the details, you converted everything, and you put your own touch and spin on it, and then it gets wiped off the table turn one. That's really heartbreaking, and it's not.
Yeah, that's the same no matter what the game is. It's when your newly painted mech or your unit that you've newly painted, they nearly always get killed straight away.
Yeah,
it's almost like a rule of thumb. It's like first game out for a newly painted unit. Well, they'll do feck all and die horribly. It's sort of the running joke at this stage.
Yeah.
So what do we think of that? I think that does actually sort of tie it together a lot better. That wash.
It's good. Yeah.
As compared to just bog standard. So rust, stippled metal, rust wash. I mean, we could crack out the pigments, but I think I'll be taking the piss at that stage. More rust. Rust for the rust god.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Do they have any in-game effects then, or just like line of sight?
Oh yeah. I didn't realize at the time because I'm still like kind of new to BattleTech, and there's many layers to it. But you can blow fuel tanks up and they'll explode and wreck stuff. So it's like they can have in-game effects, which I think is cool. Yeah,
that is good. That's one thing I do miss about one of the older editions of Warhammer when I started in the 5th 40k was the craters afterwards. When a vehicle used to get blown up.
Oh yeah, the wreckage. Yeah. There'd be a crater there. So at least your guys who survived had some cover or something.
Yeah,
I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah, there's a few bits and pieces. I really miss the templates. Is what I miss. I really miss the templates. I thought they were great crack. They were.
Especially the massive apocalypse ones.
Oh, yeah. Nothing more fun than throwing dinner plates at each other. Glorious. Absolutely.
We were talking earlier, weren't we, about Nick's painting challenge thing, terrain things. I came third, I think, one year in one of his terrain competitions, and I won a set of blast templates. Never got to use them. won the set, and converted them into bases for something now. I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of people who did that. I held on to mine. I don't know. I think there's part of me that's sort of holding out, thinking, they'll bring them back eventually. Yes, I'll be sorry. I bet they'll bring them back eventually. Something like that.
They use them in the new apocalypse rules or not?
I have the new apocalypse rules. I'll be honest, mate. I haven't even looked at them.
Nah.
I haven't even touched them. No, I don't think they use templates in the new apocalypse rules. Off the top of my head, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Be nice if they did.
Yeah.
I think orcs had the biggest blast template in the whole game at one point. And it was, or the biggest blast weapon. I shouldn't say template because it wasn't a template. Yeah. So the kill tank had a belly gun on it. Had a big feck off gun. Hold on. So the kill tank had a big massive gun on it, and it was a blast weapon. One of the profiles. It had two profiles. One was like a destroyer profile, and the other one was like strength 7 AP5 or something like that. And the radius, so not the diameter, the radius of the blast was 3d6.
Damn.
So if you rolled well, and I did it to me mate who had Elder. I did roll 3 6s, and it was just like half his army was covered in a template. Just it was brilliant.
That's when it scats back and takes out half your army as well.
Oh, yeah, but you'd laugh. You wouldn't. I wouldn't care. Exactly. It's like I killed my stuff, and I killed your stuff too. Like when we used to.
One of my mate's first ever games. Did that the shock attack gun? He only played with a couple of bikes and a squad of Terminators. I think he had, and he just sort of joined in. It's like a 3-way. It was me and my brother playing, and he'd never played, so we sort of introduced him to the rules and stuff. And I had my shock attack gun, big mech, up on a building, and that was the only target I think he could see. He had line of sight to, so he shot them. The blast went off, rolled a double 6 or whatever it was then, and it just literally removed them from play. And I felt so bad afterwards. I was like introducing him to the game, and one of his 2 units he had on the board was completely wiped out. It was like, oh, you arsehole.
I think I rolled that result once. I used to play a lot of 5th Ed 40k, and I think I managed to roll that result once. Every other time it was like
you'd end up on the other side.
Yeah. My big mech got zoinked into so many tanks that I started giving him a power claw. That's how often it happened. He'd go to shoot a tank, and he'd just be teleported into it, and it would count as charging. So I started giving him a power claw, But I do remember that happening once, and my friend was like, "You what?" It's like, yeah, I'm gonna shoot this chimera. It's, I think it's scattered, or whatever way the template landed, it clipped 3 chimeras and just removed them off the board. I was like, oh, and that's the only time I remember that happening once. I probably played hundreds of games, and it happened once. But once is enough. It was worth it.
That's the one you remember. Yeah,
that is the one you remember. And it's also the one your mate remembers. Look, that thing's broken. I'm like, mate, you weren't here for the other 21 games where it destroyed my own stuff. It's I find that entertaining as well.
Yeah, I didn't go wrong and wipe out a whole squad of 15 looters and took them all off.
Oh, yeah, you'd have them. I used to have him attached to a unit of looters, and then there was one of them results where he'd blow up himself, and anything around them went with him. Yeah, mate.
No save, nothing.
No save, just gone. What? Yep, they're just dead. People who aren't used to the shock attack one would be like, yeah, this happens every other game. Like, why do you bring them? For the laugh?
I do like the shock. I did like the old rules for that. That and the old ramshackle rules from truck from 5th Ed.
That used to do me mates nothing. Used to do. there was one specific game where he fired, I don't know how many battle cannons and like a basilisk and pretty much his whole army into one truck, and it just would not. Whatever way he was rolling, it just would not die. I was like, ah, yeah.
Brilliant.
Or you'd kill me truck and then it would veer off directly into the enemy anyway. So I'd be like, it doesn't bother me, you know? It's like, I kill your trucks and you still make it across the board. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's great, isn't it? Yeah, good old Ramshackle, man. I do miss those days. They were great crack.
We used to play that only up until recently. Still used to play that on my trucks. I'd be like, do you mind if I play that? And they're like, nah, go for it. We just play the old Ramshackle rule. Just leave it as it was, because I loved it so much. It was just
fun. Yeah, it was just so
exactly.
fun. Because you wouldn't know where it would go. Like it might veer off into your own vehicles or off the board or whatever. You'd never know.
That's the thing, and if you want to carry on playing them rules, just as long as that's what I was saying about a good group. If you got a good group, it don't matter, does it?
Nothing's stopping you. If your group, you and your group of mates are sick of all these new rule sets coming out all the time, pick an edition you all like.
Yeah.
Stick with it. You'll save a small fortune on real books.
True.
You know?
I got caught once with that. Now I think that was when I first got into it.
Oh, you bought like an old
Well, I got the box. Obviously we got the Salt and Black Reach had the mini rule book in it, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then I think I picked one up off eBay. I got another mini rule book, and that was good. And I thought, because I was just sort of dipping my toe in, see if I liked it, and got hooked straight away. Just unbelievable. Yeah, I was buying plastic after plastic, and was like, right, I'm going to get the big rule book. Went into GW, my local one in Chelmsford, bought the book. Lovely. And then 3 weeks later, they changed the edition, and the book, 50 quid I spent on it, and that was it. It was gone. I was like, I got a little bit upset with that.
Jesus. And they didn't say nothing to you? There's a new edition coming out? Or
nothing. No.
See, I can remember there being offers here in the GW in Dublin where it'll be like when there's a rule set changing, they'll sell you a rule book now, and then like they'd exchange you when the new edition would come out. Do you know what I mean? So you're not put out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because those old rule books are just going to be sent back to GW HQ and destroyed anyway.
Yeah.
Like that's what they do with a lot of products.
I don't know. I wasn't in it long. He might have done if I'd have gone back. I didn't go back in for a long while.
You were just a bit disheartened about it.
Yeah. He might have. Who knows if I'd have gone back in and said, "Oh, look, come on, I bought this 3 weeks ago. I dropped 50 quid on it." And then you brought out a new book.
It just depends on the staff for me. So,
depends on. They seem like a good bunch. He's been there for years. I go in there now and chat to him quite a bit now. He's all right.
See if he'll spot before you know. Any chance, mate? Guess. Yeah, it does depend on your staffers. Some stores, you can get on great with them. Other ones, not so much. It's hit and miss. It just depends.
Yeah.
It just depends. Bit of a lottery. Yeah, when that dries up, I think it dries a lot better. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it looks really shiny when you first put it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sort of dulls down a good bit.
Yeah, it was great.
It's not too bad.
Nice.
I was thinking about stippling a bit of white onto this, but I think I might leave them. Maybe I'll experiment with one or two of them. This is the beauty of 3D printing terrain. I can make a buzz of it and not care. I could just print another one.
Yeah. Print another one. Might look nice with a few decals. Like a little logo.
Yeah. I've got some tank ones around from me main team tanks.
Quite cool.
I've got some. I was thinking, fuel tanks. You know the way they'll have the numbers. Yeah. We'll see. If I mess around with colours, I might do that and go back in with them. But I'm just shooting the breeze on this. I've no idea. Either it'll work or it won't. It's like we'll see how it goes. Jesus, we've run over time. We're like 20 past 11. Time has been flying. It's been great crack. So did you manage to get much done yourself? Did you get your little shed?
Yeah, got my little shack done.
Nice.
No, I got the little Little fuel balls. I don't know if you can see that very well there.
Hold on. I can try mess around with this. Give it a second. That one. Right. Hold on. We'll do this. Go on. See if you can show it off there.
Little roller door.
Yeah. Oh, you did a roller door as well. Nice.
Yeah, little roller door.
The little details is what really gets me. I'm like, yeah, that looks sweet.
They're just cable ties and then a little lollipop stick underneath. And yeah.
Nice. See,
got a little sign. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to call it.
What do you think about putting on the sign?
I don't know yet. Out to lunch, maybe, on there.
Yeah. Back in 5.
Back in 5, yeah. I don't know what to call it yet. But yeah. And a little bit of paint on Steve-O.
Yeah, that's looking good, man.
Yeah. Come out good. I've just got Dim's one to do now.
Nice. I think Dim was the only one who actually managed to get his one sorted.
Is he all painted up?
He got his. Yeah. I got to a stage with mine where it was like I put the green on it. I think it's on the desk. No, it's actually in my case because it's part of my army. I'm actually going to be bringing it to the battle report. So I got to the stage where I put a green on it, and then I was like, I didn't know what to do next. You know, do you ever get that way with a paint job where you're like, I'm not too sure.
Just got to put it down for a while, yeah.
Yeah. I got to a certain stage. I was happy with the skin, and then I was like, I don't know what to do with this bit next. I just need to sort of mull over it a bit more and actually put paint on the brush and crack on with them. As you can tell, I was just painting these tanks. I'm like, I don't know, maybe, it'll come to me eventually. I'm sure I'll decide eventually what I want to do. It'll have to be finished anyway, so it's part of my army, so it'll have to be finished up for the battle report. So
nice.
I'll have to decide then. So yeah, I managed to get a few of these fuel tanks rusted up. They look all right. I think they look the part.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll try a bit of colour on some of them. My brain is like, some of these should be like white, patchwork white paint, rusted to hell.
Some drips down it, sort of dripping down the side, sort of thing.
Yeah. Do some streaking or whatever. So I'll try that. I've got a base coat of rust on all of them anyway, so I can dabble. Maybe paint them red. I don't know. Industrial ones tend to be like white or grey. And we'll go from there. So I hope everyone else got something painted as well. Modeling for advantages here. What's the crack? Thanks all for joining in. And we'll catch you in 2 weeks. So Clint, thanks for coming on, mate. It's been great crack. As I said before at the start of the video, if you want to check out Clint's channel, which I suggest you do. If you've seen the thumbnail for the video, that's his football pitch, and as you can tell from his background, he's got a fair few bits and pieces. Clint does absolutely cracking work, both with his miniatures and his terrain. Check out his channel. There's a link in the description below, and as I said, his channel is top of recommended channel lists on my YouTube channel, so if you're coming back later, you can find his Essex Boyz channel there. Lots of orky content, lots of Blood Bowl stuff. Great crack. Thanks for coming on, Clint.
Thanks for having me. It's been good night. Cheers.
Cheers, bud. And I hope you all managed to get a bit done as well. A good bit of hobby done painting. So we'll catch you in 2 weeks' time, folks. So it's Scanner saying goodbye, and don't forget to drill your barrels. And goodbye from Clint.
Catch you on the next one.
See yous. Boom.